Tell a friend to listen in. It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
Good morning, good morning. It's indeed a good morning. This is Clint Parris, and you're live on Intex News Radio, reality radio, where everybody could be a star. And you're on straight up the middle, as I always indicate to people. Look, if you're not vibing with me as I stroll down the middle of the highways and byways of our thought processes on the political spectrum, then you're somewhere in a ditch. Either you're deep off into the right, or maybe you're even a leftist. But even right now, being a leftist isn't too popular because the folks in Miami are all upset about a sign with Castro and Donald Trump on there, looking like he's a dictator. But anyway, welcome this morning to Intex News Radio. Got a lot of stuff out there. The professor is slated to call in, so we'll chat with him real soon, and maybe get a better perspective of, kind of how Republicans and independents and non-Democrats are looking at things. But we invite you all to participate in the show. If you listen to us on Intex News Radio, you can also watch the live stream on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to tune in and see why I have a face that is fit for radio, it'll be very apparent if once you get a view of how we rock it. Now, some people will say, "Look, well, no, hold on, you look a little different." I do. I'm feeling different right about now. I'm trying to grow out my beard. Do the salt and pepper thing. I saw some brother. I'm a guy that's okay seeing another guy and say, "Hey, you know what? That brother looks kind of smooth right there." So finally, I'm able to grow facial hair. It's taken many years, but my facial hair now has started to grow as I get up in age, and so I'm going to try to see if I can fill out this beard and pimp this thing out for a little bit. I'm getting used to brushing and combing, and I got some beard oil. I don't know if regular hair oil works. I got some beard oil. I'm rubbing it and stroking it, and we'll see where that takes me. Also, I'm wearing my shirt this morning with from the 1968 Olympics with the power sign, which I think is one of the most authentic demonstrations of Black power. And you just think about this: Juan Carlos, the gentleman in that picture holding his fist up, and Tommy, I can't remember the other guy's name in the picture, but Juan Carlos was the main the actor in that situation, and here he was, world-class sprinter, Olympics, and he lost his entire career over doing just that one thing. That's a big sacrifice. His entire career as a professional athlete was lost because he engaged in this silent protest. Silent protest. We think about all the craziness you see people going out and doing, things of that nature. Brother Man simply stood up. It gives you a feeling for the level of oppression that Black people were experiencing through the late 60s. This week, Major League Baseball celebrated history of its Negro Leagues baseball and integration and a bunch of other things, along with the Juneteenth celebration. And they had Reggie Jackson come on and talk. And Reggie Jackson talked about what he experienced playing in the Negro Leagues in the South and how it affected him over his career. So anyway, we got a caller on the phone. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is the professor.
Good morning, Professor. How are you today?
I'm good.
Listen, I know I only got you for a short period of time, so I'm not going to use it up pontificating about the various things on my mind. I really want to get your perspective and get some predictions for this upcoming debate that's going to happen. Your thoughts about the debate and what we might expect.
Well, I told you the last time we spoke that I had no intentions of watching the debate. I've been true and upfront over Trump's whole presidential career that I can't listen to him. I can listen to clips, but I can't sit down and listen to him talk. Drives me crazy. Now, having said that, I also listened to Van Jones the other day, and just his sheer concern for where President Biden is. This is a make or break. Donald Trump can afford to make a mistake. Biden can't. So,
yeah,
just framing it that way,
uh-huh.
and I'm sure you'll have a different spin, but to me, that's so true. And so I think, and I had to look up the rules for the debate. Now, a lot of people say they favor Biden more than Trump. I don't know. Maybe the whole note-taking thing may favor Trump because he's always off track anyway. But I just don't know. It's a total. It's really a total cost. So, you know.
Why do you
I
think?
just don't know who.
Why do you think Why do you think Trump has more room to make mistakes and come back?
First of all, he's not incumbent. It's not his economy. It's not his war. So his record, like it or not, his record on both are favorable. We didn't have to debate whether or not we're sending Ukraine any money or Israel any money. We're not worried about China and Russia and BRICS and North Korea. We're not having those conversations, and they weren't a part of any real issue other than what Democrats did as far as Trump when he was in office, trying to tie the Russia collusion to him, that kind of stuff. We didn't have the same problems, or let's just not call them problems. We did not have to deal with these as they present themselves now. So Trump can make a mistake, and the only vulnerability he has is the charges, the court cases that most will see are pretty much political in nature. So Biden can't afford to because he's already been painted as old and, not in command, and he has an image that he needs to preserve that he can be a commander-in-chief.
Do you think that's why they've been putting Joe Biden kind of out in the public a little more often leading up to the debate, so not so that people can already factor in what they physically expect to see from him?
Well, I think they've been limiting Joe Biden's appearance pretty frequently. Coming up to the debates, maybe a little more. And I don't think it's out of the ordinary for him to be at Camp David, prepping for the debate because of just, what's on the line. So, no, I'm not really worried by that. I think that's a common sense thing to do. As a matter of fact, I like to see Trump kind of not in the, he needs to be studying too. He's no scholar himself. That's common knowledge. So,
Professor, you're back doggone it. I was setting a trap. You just, you wiggled out of it. I was setting you up to ask you about Donald Trump's debate prep. Is that his ego, his hubris? What is it about Donald Trump that he is averse to, the process that has historically been used to get ready for this? Is that because his ego he's so full of himself that, of course, he doesn't need to prepare because he's always prepared?
Well, no, you're right. That's a lot of ego, and I think that's what Bill Barr and a lot of his first administration. There were some credible knocks on Donald Trump, and he's petulant. So all those are true. I think with that, we can have people. We can take that away from Donald Trump. We can look at a lot of our so-called stars, and I'm doing air quotes, people who are not particularly cerebral, but they do a good job for whatever reason. They have a natural knack that things go their way, really to his credit or not to his credit. But with Trump, I believe he knows enough, and he's there to put on a show. I really think that's his mission, is to knock Joe Biden off of his game.
Well, if that's the case, don't these rules kind of lock him in? The mics being shut off, no crowd, some of that kind of stuff kind of sterilizes the environment and cuts off the energy and oxygen that Trump feeds off. With that in mind, how does he get to that space where he's able to knock Joe Biden? And just think, Joe Biden's been he's been a politician dealing with adversarial moments, I don't know, 40, 50 years. I don't know how many, most of his whole life. I think he was elected in his 20s. So we're 50 plus years of him having to deal with, somebody trying to mess with him. this is not, Hillary Clinton, where you can bring in, your husband's, mistresses and sit them in the front row and have them stare at you with their boobs out, or something like that. How does he do it in this sterile environment, and still look like he's qualified to be president?
Well, let me keep it to Trump. You said, without the live audience, Trump is still, pretty much an entertainer. I mean, he knows how to command the stage, so he's going to do his same facial expressions. Joe Biden only has one. That's that kind of scowl that look like, huh? And so Trump still has that going for him. He still, I think, is more speaking extemporaneously. I think Trump is better at that. Now, whether or not that's a very cogent method, I'm not going to say that, but I think he's better than Joe Biden is. Now, saying he's good is one thing, but saying he's better than Joe Biden is another thing when you're speaking, impromptu. So the fact that the mics are going to be off doesn't mean he can't talk, because, he's going to have, I would imagine he's going to have some gestures and people be able to read his list, because that's kind of what he does. You're right. He feeds off that energy. So that may be one thing, but I think it may work against Joe Biden.
So let me. If you play that, go ahead.
If Joe Biden does not know, let's say he goes off script, because he has to remember these things. If he goes off script, I just think it hurts Joe Biden more, because I just think he's the incumbent. He has to be on his game. He has to show that he's in command, because we know what Trump. Everybody knows what Trump has, and we already know what Joe Biden is. Unfortunately, the charges on Trump are not weighing Trump down. What we think about Joe Biden, or at least the image he has to try to, keep at bay, it's weighing him down.
I actually really disagree with the weighing him down. I think the stock market, people's 401ks, the low unemployment numbers, the numerous bills from the CHIPS bill to the infrastructure bill to reduction in prices for insulin, keeping us out of a war with Russia and China, the progress being made at the border. All those are positive things. All those are positive things that I think Joe Biden can reflect on. You won't hear this stuff on Newsmax and Fox, but people are feeling it. Those are the fact that no one says this guy has kept us out of a war with China and limited China's impact economically. He's kept us out of a war. He's hold on, I'm not finished. He's lowered our profile in the Middle East. He got us out of Afghanistan. I hadn't heard nothing out of Syria and who knows when. There's a lot to for him to tout and say, look, for those people that are just don't like old people, that's one thing. And luckily, Trump's almost as old as he is, and every time Trump opens his mouth, he reminds everybody, this guy how dangerous he can be. So you were going to say something about all those great things that Biden has done. I know you had a comment.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which part is not true though? The China war, the Russia. Which one is not true? Which one of the things I said?
War. So the fact that one is trying to frame that we were almost in a war with China, I think that's a bit a stretch. The border, I don't think he wants to address that, because only now, since he's in competition with Trump, he has to face Trump.
All I can say, but he's doing it. It's being done. You get credit for what you do. No, he didn't. He gets credit because he's doing something. And border numbers are down about 25%, I think, is what they said last week.
Wait a minute. That's only now. He just started doing this. He rolled back Trump's policies from start. And so now, since he's in an election year, he knows those numbers are bad. His people were trying to push him to do it. So now, and see, that's how people throw that stat around. It's down 20% from what time? Not since he took office. Maybe from last month. before he decided to do this executive order. So that's a bit of a red herring there. Like I said, so that's the border with China. See, the thing about Donald Trump and what's come true is what people aren't talking about because the Democrats don't want to talk about all the hearings on Fauci. And yeah, this thing was what a lot of people were saying. And yeah, this misinformation was what we thought it was. And so Trump was always hard on China. And they like to call him xenophobic because he said, the Wuhan, whatever, however he was pronouncing that virus, the China virus, whatever he was doing. He irritated a lot of people, but he magnified what a lot of the public thought. And so that bodes well for Trump. Anything that's negative, all this tension with China and Russia and all this, that bodes well for Trump because we didn't have that. So you guys can talk about how you want because your guy needs to win.
Listen, Professor, the reality of it is Joe Biden has been a very effective president. And I ran off a list. I didn't even talk about how he's kept families together, his compassion for the plight of the people in Gaza, the civilians. Not Hamas, but the regular civilians who've been impacted. I think he's got himself set up well, Professor. Well, listen.
His numbers.
That's just numbers. I would say this. I think, as we know, the numbers are trending back in Biden's favor right now. But we're so far from the election, I wouldn't want him governing by numbers. I'd rather he govern by what he thinks is best for the country, which you can see with some of his policies. And I think that's one of the distinguishing feature of our entire, I think, campaign is going to be Biden's for America and Donald Trump is for himself. I'm being told I got to take a break. Last comment, Professor. What do you got?
Hey, look, no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be with bells and whistles on. I'm going to be Clorox beside me. I might have to sit that Clorox like that image I sent you. I might have to sit that Clorox during that debate. But I'll be there.
All right, Professor, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it very much. We're going to take this quick break, come back on the other side, flesh out a few of these things. Look, it's still Juneteenth week, so hope y'all are celebrating. We'll be right back after this quick break.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
All right, we're back live on Intentional Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. So you know the professor, and I'm going to go ahead and confess. I've been waiting to unload on the professor with not just the professor, but a lot of the independents, and folks that support Donald Trump who criticize Joe Biden. Let me see this. Like, for example, people say, well, he did the war in Ukraine. That's okay, fine. Okay, well, if you're going to blame him for that war, how about we give him credit for the wars we're not in? If we're going to do it that way, right? If you're going to blame him for wars that we're in, like Ukraine, which is not his doing, that's a European dispute. And I want to challenge my listeners. Go research how many times Ukraine and Russia have had wars. How many times they've gone at it. They fought over whatever it is that they believe is their issues. Staggering. But to a lot of my Republican and independent friends, I've wanted the opportunity to just kind of run down some of the successes of the Joe Biden administration. We got a caller on the phone. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello, caller. We lost the caller. All right, call back in. Listen, call in numbers 813-444-9588. Last week we had a first-time caller. CJ called in, and African-American person, I won't say Trump supporter, but someone who indicated they're voting for Trump this time. I do not want to slander the man. He said he's voting for Trump this time. And I was very polite. I let him say what he needed to say, and I welcome people that think differently from me coming in. You know, facts are facts, though. How you feel is one thing, and I won't argue with that. But when it comes to numbers like unemployment rate, there's nothing to argue about there. We can't argue about that. We can argue about why policy is one thing over another thing. You can't argue that the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden passed has created great jobs and is restructuring American society and buttressing our communities, getting rid of old bridges, expanding interstates, and so on and so forth. You can't argue with the CHIPS bill. The CHIPS bill is accelerating the American ability to provide chips, which now run everything that we have. I have an electric mountain bike. Guess what it has in it? Yeah, it has a chip. It has a chip. It talks to my heart monitor. It talks to my phone. That's just the nature of our society. But that bill was essential to that. Insulin prices and other drug prices. Joe Biden has passed legislation that's brought those numbers down. And when the Republicans wouldn't do something that they said was their issue, immigration, they're concerned about illegal immigration across the border. Joe Biden has taken his own unilateral action to make sure that we deal with it in some kind of way. And it's down 25%, my understanding, already from what it was before. And I would suspect there's going to be more legislation. At the same time, Joe Biden has shown compassion for people in America who are married to people who are not undocumented. And he's giving them a pathway to getting a green card, so that they can also, have a legitimate experience in America. So, I think this is what we're going to come down to, people, when we get down to the election. Joe Biden, it's clear that he has a greater concern for America and American citizens and our presence in the world. I can't say that for Donald Trump. Everything I hear out of Donald Trump, it's about Donald Trump. It is about Donald Trump or Trump-like people. It's about Donald Trump and or Trump-like people. So I enjoyed just sharing with the professor a few of the things that we've seen come down the pipe through the Joe Biden administration. The other thing that's been going on this week, just to everyone out there, is let me talk about something that's personal to me real quick. When I came in my office on Monday, my office was flooded due to a water heater erupting in another suite. Office is completely flooded. And I'm doing this as advice to people about something. I had way too much stuff on the floor in my office. Too much stuff on the floor. I just would put stuff on the floor. A bag, sit on the floor. A box, sit it on the floor. A file, sit it on the floor. Whatever it may be, just find a place on the floor in various locations. And guess what? 3-4 inches of water, all that stuff is ruined. So, public service announcement. Don't sit a bunch of stuff on the floor. Put it where it needs to go. Get rid of it. Most of the stuff I realize, a lot of stuff I can get rid of. We went from about 4 to 5 file cabinets down to 2. You know why? We don't need all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to redecorating the office, getting some new furniture, getting the jazz. Well, we got a call on the phone. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning, man. Myself, good morning.
Hey.
This is Carl the trucker calling in.
All right, man. So you're here for your therapy session, sir. I don't think you paid the receptionist, though. There were no fee. We didn't receive any fees for therapy session today. So I don't know if we can go forward with your therapy. We can have a chat though. It just won't be therapeutic.
Okay.
So, okay. So what's on your mind this morning? What's on your mind? Did you hear the professor? Will you listen to the professor?
Yes, I did. And Professor, your Republican, your independents, they're gonna really shit. They don't want to hear anything, the positive stuff that Joe Biden has done, whatever. Just like I always say, he's a very empathetic president. He really cares, and I really like the way he supports his son. That shows the type of person. And like you said, I'm a father first. I'm a father,
right?
And then I'm a president.
Yeah.
And really what he's doing for the economy. Like you have a whole list of the things that infrastructure. I mean, that is his strongest bill, the infrastructure bill.
Yes.
He pounded that thing, and that's something that Barack Obama had initiated when he was president. So Joe Biden came in and followed up on that, and he got that into to action, and it increased the job market.
Right.
You're
Absolutely.
doing excellent
Yeah.
jobs. As a truck driver, every road I go on, I see they're doing some kind of repairs.
Right. Well,
The
that's
bridges. I mean, every state, all the way from Portland, Oregon, all the way over to Maine, they got the major highways and some of your state roads. They doing repairs.
Wow. Good stuff.
And you know what? And they also are preparing your roads for your electric cars.
Okay. So they're putting out the charge stations and those kinds of things are being built in.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I don't think most people realize in the roadway those white paint strips. Somehow the cars read those and it helps them stay in their lanes. It's very, very interesting.
They have metal inside those strips.
Okay. Well, got it.
That reflect.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
So now a lot of people, Trucker Carl, don't know how much of a Biden guy you are. Let me back people up to the spring of 2020 and how forward-leaning. Well, that was 2019 actually. How far out front you were in saying Joe Biden was your guy in Iowa when he flopped. Joe Biden was your guy when he got to New Hampshire, and he was trailing still. And then he finally came south, and you stayed with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden finally made the turn, and he got to the forefront. We have these debates coming up, and I want to know from you, what do you want to hear or see from Joe Biden to get you enthusiastic about the election? What can he say? What can he do to get you fired up during the debate? That okay, great. You're ready to go back out on the road for him. What are you expecting out of the debate?
I expected him to really get his message out, his accomplishments, the ones that you have named, and the thing that really has really propelled him out there as a great president.
Okay.
And not only that, we're saying we got other countries that's saying how good of a president he is.
Got it. Okay.
And just how he relates to some of their issues.
Well, good then. All right. Well, Choker Carl.
Not just
perfect.
So the debate. I'm looking forward to that or whatever. And so his performance is his age. I don't see an issue with it, but however, that's a talking point. That's what I'm talking about. But he's doing pretty good or whatever. And like saying, and CJ, if CJ, if you're listening.
Wait a minute now. I will not have you come on here and disparage CJ because he supports Trump. Now you disparage him for some other reason. Okay, all right. Just I don't want to. My callers out there, meeting on the side of the road. I don't need you pulling on a truck stop, and then CJ, he inside waiting with the honey bun. He want to get it on. So. But go ahead. What do you want to say to CJ?
No, just saying that you're right, man. You can't never dispute facts.
Facts are facts. Opinions are opinions, but facts are
facts. Yes, sir. Back.
All right, man. You have a great rest of your day, Carl. Appreciate you calling in as always. And, of course, appreciate you listening in and taking it easy on CJ. You have a great rest of your day.
All right.
All right, so that's Trucker Carl calling. Look, we got to take our middle hour break. Take it, come back on the other side. I want to talk a little bit more about Juneteenth and kind of prognosticate about this upcoming debate. This is In Touch News Radio, Reality Radio. We'll be right back after this quick break.
When you've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you. This is Attorney Clinton Paris. Accidents are beyond your control, but deciding who will represent you is your decision. If you've been injured, call me at the Law Office of Clinton Paris for a free consultation. 813-413-7924. Offices, Riverview.
All right, we're back live on Intelligence News Radio, Reality Radio. Everybody can be a star. Again, my name is Clinton Paris, and you're listening to Straight Up the Middle. I appreciate all the text messages and what people are sending me on Facebook. And if you call in and it goes to voicemail, it rings busy. Unfortunately, we only have the one line for call-in numbers for callers to the show. So just call back, hang up, wait a few minutes, give us a call back. We'll get you in. We love hearing from callers. The call-in number is 813-444-9588. It is also on the live stream at the bottom. The phone number is there, so if you want to call in and talk for a little bit. You know, I was really excited this week watching a lot of the Juneteenth activities and celebrations because, first, I'm a fan of history. I love history, and I appreciate history. And really, Juneteenth really, to me, is more so than the Emancipation Proclamation. But Juneteenth for me really marks the moment when African Americans and black people in the United States really started their march toward full citizenship. We're much closer now than we've ever been. There still remain a lot of things that at the time a child is born, the minute they're born, whether you're black or white, your route to the fullness that America has to offer is differently challenged. It's very, very differently challenged. And so I'm always encouraged when people take a moment and reflect on the history that got us to where we are right now. A highlight of the week for me was listening to Reggie Jackson talk about what he went through during the 60s. A lot of people want to make out like what has happened to America is so long ago. What happened to our African-American soldiers that went off to Vietnam and how the draft was slanted towards Southern poor blacks and what it did to families who didn't have their loved one come home, or they came home with some kind of infirmity, where the federal government, again, came up short. You know how long it took for veterans to get their rights related to the damage done from Agent Orange and other things done to them in Vietnam. And people say, well, how's that associated with Juneteenth? It is part of the march to full citizenship. I went to visit one of my family members at a very prestigious corporate job this week, and I took one of my nieces to go see this operation. There were 3.5 people of color that we ran into in this major corporate entity. 3.5. There may be some more that we didn't find. One was a family member, Then there were 2 brothers working on the dock. We saw them lifting and toting. And then there was another kind of person that you could tell had some ethnicity to them. But the majority of the people there doing very, very basic corporate jobs that all are, I'm sure, well paid, possibly 6-figure jobs, were average Caucasians. Average. Grown up, gone to college, kept themselves clean for the most part, and they walked into corporate America and off on their run. And on our way to this visit, we passed by the courthouse, which was much more darker in pigmentation for the people inside of that, mainly being handled by the system. And I point this out to remind people, the route to citizenship for Black people in America is still very perilous. And we have to exercise that. And the main way I say you do that is, one, you vote. You be involved and understand the impact of politics. And that's why I am so sensitive about what is happening with Donald Trump and what's happening with Joe Biden. Because Donald Trump has given license to a lot of people who have no compassion for the struggle that it takes in America still. There are a lot of people going full out, hard as they can go, and they're barely keeping their head above water. And they need lower prices for insulin, which lets them live longer. They need greater jobs in various markets. So the unemployment being lower is very important. So we got a caller on the phone. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brother Paris.
Good morning. Good morning. It sounds like the Honorable Edwin Lorraine on the phone. How are you this morning?
It is. And I'm calling you all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, via San Diego, California.
Oh my God. Hey.
It has been a time. But, sometimes I hear things on your show when I'm listening, and I say, man, I just can't let that slide. And, of course, it's something the professor said.
Of course it was the professor. I had a trap set for him. He wiggled out of it, but he'll be back. I'll reset my trap. Anyway, he wiggled out of that one. But anyway, what's on your mind this morning, Mr. Ray?
This debate that's coming up, Donald Trump's not preparing because he can't prepare for this. He never knew facts, figures, or anything that was happening in his administration because it involved taking care of people. He knew the things that involved him personally and the deals he had going, but nothing that helped the people. And I thought it was disingenuous to make fun of this executive order that Biden has just put in place regarding immigration at the border.
Right.
See, the problem with Americans is we have short memories, and we forgot that Trump's border policy just involved taking babies and children away from their families, which was not only immoral, but it's un-American.
Right.
So let's talk about a couple of things here, right? It's Juneteenth week. I dare say that Joe Biden has done more for Black people than previous presidents, including the Black one that we all love. And in part, it's not because President Obama didn't want to. He didn't have a Congress that was allowed to act on many of those things.
Okay.
But let's go back 4 years ago. COVID is killing our country 4 years ago. This time, we're all scared. We don't know what's going on. And our president at the time lied to us. He knew about the effects of COVID and what it could do. He had information before everybody else, didn't share it, and we watched millions of our brothers, sisters, moms, aunts, uncles, dads die.
Right.
Okay? So when President Biden inherited this economy in this country, it was broken. We still needed to get people vaccinations in their arms. And let's talk about what's happened since. We've seen 12 million jobs, new jobs that have been created under the Biden administration. Record Dow,
Yeah.
You look at the S&P and the Dow, they are at record numbers. As you mentioned before, the CHIPS Act. Remember, for years, presidents talked about infrastructure bills. It was the Biden administration that got that done.
Correct.
I mean, I could go on and on,
Right.
But let's not forget, as African Americans, he made us some promises. He said he was going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court, and Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson is there.
Right.
He's appointed 12 black federal judges to the bench. How many did Trump do in 4 years? None.
Right.
The facts are very clear. There's only one president that actually cares about African Americans. Let's not forget that the other one, who recently said that America's blackest cities, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, he compared that to living in hell.
And
Remember when
he trashed Milwaukee? He just trashed Milwaukee.
Yeah. As an ex-New Yorker, I remember being a teenager when he called for the death penalty. He took out a full page against the Central Park Five.
Right.
I mean, look, folks, it's pretty clear. So when I hear black American males who are purposefully being targeted by the Trump campaign because they know that if the black vote doesn't stay whole, it'll be very difficult for Biden to get reelected. That's the only reason why they care about us now. Where was Trump in 2016 to 2020 talking to the issues that were affecting black males? Unemployment is at its lowest for black people under Biden. That wasn't under Trump. I could go on and on and on, but the facts are, don't fall for the okie doke. The current president, he might be old, but so is his opponent. So we're choosing between two old guys. Okay, big deal. One has a record of success in helping the black community. The other one hangs out with celebrities and pretends that he cares about us and has never done a thing to help us in his career.
Wow.
Remember Charlottesville.
Yes.
Never forget.
Wow, outstanding. No, you're dead on point with the magnitude of it. I'm always lost in, and I'm really, really trying to find space to listen to these folks that support, particularly African-American males, and try to make sure, I hate to say psychoanalyze, but see if what am I hearing? And, a lot of it sometimes I think is a little bit of projection about things. Some of it I think is it's the media. I think the messaging, let me change that from media. The messaging that people hear that is put out. And ultimately, I think Joe Biden has got to get his message out better. What are you looking to hear from Joe Biden in the debate that you think will get his supporters more motivated?
It's so unfair, the standard that I think has been placed upon the president's shoulders for any type of debate. He does have a speech impediment that he's worked hard to overcome, and we all know as we get older, our speech and our brains don't work at the same wavelength anymore. Right. Sometimes what I'm thinking comes out before I want it to, and sometimes what I'm thinking never comes out. But in President Biden, what I'd like to see him do is do what he did in the very first State of the Union address this year, when he stood strong on policy. And people forget that a lot of Dems were nervous going into it. I wasn't. They were falling for the conservative media spin that Biden was old and forgetful. And what we saw was a very forceful president who defended his policies without any hesitation. I think Trump comes into this and tries to distract and deflect away from the accomplishments of Joe Biden. I think he wants to be able to see his mic cut off on purpose so they can use clips of that with conservative media to say that he was being silenced, because that's all they have right now. And one final point, Clint, about the campaign in general. I agree with you. The Biden campaign has not been messaging, and that's because in politics, if you're messaging early, you're making a mistake. You raise money until it's time to message when people are paying attention. People won't be paying attention really in this race until right after the first set of primaries happen on the state level in August. You just wait. Every day you're going to see January 6th images reminding people that a former president of the United States committed a treasonous act by leading an insurrection that destroyed our capital. We are quick to forget what that capital looked like. We're quick to forget that people were actually killed that day. And not just people, but law enforcement officials were attacked by a mob that was incited by a former president who refused to accept election results. That is shameful, and history is going to reflect that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be probably some powerful stuff, and I think the less spin that's placed on that and the more the imagery is projected, I think we're going to be placed back into that time of the instability. Because I can recall every day I got up thinking, what is this guy going to do today that puts not only America but the world at peril? And every day he did not disappoint. He always did something different. Hey, listen, Ed, I want to wish you a safe travel to you while you're out on the road, and hopefully get back here nice and safe and sound. And appreciate you listening, and more importantly, calling in. You have a great day.
Anytime, brother.
All right, take care. That was the Honorable Edwin Lorraine calling in, one of our leaders in the Tampa and Florida community, rising star on the political scene. Just somebody to be reckoned with in all aspects. As you can see, very, very thoughtful, very, very thoughtful young man, and we're glad to have him as one of our callers. And, of course, every now and again we get him in here to sit behind the mic. Not too often, because you see he's a little too smooth for my taste. But anyway, we'll keep him at bay and make sure he doesn't take over. But we want to wish you a safe travel, Brother Lorraine. Be back here soon. Take a quick break. Come back on the other side. It's In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody could be a star. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News. Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
All right, we're back live on In Touch News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star again. I'm your co-host, Clinton Paris in studio. I had mentioned before, we at the end of the last break, a little public service announcement. My office floor, I've had a fire before, and I know what to do with that. I'd never had a flood in my office where the entire office floor, about 3 inches deep, got soaked with water over the weekend due to a water heater leak in another facility nearby, but it flooded everybody's offices. And I learned a lot in that one, the water you see on the floor is just part of it. The water's going down and up. It's going up the walls, insulation, drywall, in the wood, whatever it may be. It's going down through the floor into the cement, actually, and as the humidifiers come in, they pull that water back out. So this happened over the weekend, last weekend, and so they were drying out offices on Monday. And yesterday, Friday, they began taking out furniture, things of that nature. And I was stunned at how much water was inside desks that had wicked up from the floor and was still contained inside desks. So we're going to be doing some redecorating over at the Paris Law Office, new paint jobs, and some there's a lot of damage, that my insurance company will be seeing. A lot of stuff got damaged, the computers and whatnot. It has been a learning experience. So my public service announcement is keep your stuff off the floor. If it's not supposed to be on the floor, it do not leave it on the floor, just in case you get a flood or something in your office. So my public service announcement. All right, so a couple things that we've been highlighting today. We've been talking about Juneteenth a little bit, how its impact and its manifestation is still relevant today. And I hear remnants of that. Last week, And let me tell you how. Last week, not Joe Biden, but Donald Trump, he's in Detroit. They rent out a black church to hold a rally. Notice I said he didn't go visit a black church. He rented out a black church to hold a rally, because beyond the church parishioners being black, the attendees for the Trump rally or event, whatever it was, were a bunch of white folks, his white supporters that travel with him. He also held a Black Conservatives for Trump event at Mar-a-Lago. Now, at that event, there weren't any white people, but the black folks were in a ballroom that's being remodeled. So there's furniture and boxes and construction stuff all over the room as these folks stand there talking to Trump. And the message was, the ballroom is closed for the season. So he brings these folks in. Their treatment is, you get to go in a room that's being remodeled at Mar-a-Lago, which I'm sure they have other rooms that you can utilize that not in that condition. Now, the third thing is that he then left there and went to a rally at which a pro-white rally where they rolled out a sign called with the White Boy Summer banner, which, you know, it was a fun thing that some frat boys were doing on some campuses and so on. It has now been co-opted by the alt-right movement. Those are the images surrounding Donald Trump. And my heart just says, this man has no real compassion for the plight of African Americans. Not to say that Democrats have gotten it right and perfect. They have not. But I will say, at least on one side, I think there's a genuine effort to get to some of the things that are impacting our society. And the main one is the education piece. We've got to educate our young people properly so that they have a chance to compete in America. That's why I was kind of put back by what happened in Louisiana. Its bill regarding every classroom must have a copy of the Ten Commandments in large font that's readable, posted in the classroom. Every classroom. Every classroom. Now, that's performative, right? How about we require people to live by those commandments? We ever thought about that? Like, you know, adultery? How about we say that? Well, then you'd have to deal with the Trump and the porn star issue. How about false witness, lying? You might have to deal with the Trump prolific lying. And I can go on and on. Posting the Ten Commandments is performative, meaning it makes people feel like you did something when you really didn't do anything. The second part of it is, you don't have to follow these things. We just want to put them up. And I have an issue. I am as Christian as I can be. I like that. How about that, Bezel? I'm as Christian as I can be. I don't know about you. We're not even go down that road. Don't do it, people. Do not start sending me emails. Don't start texting me about I'm as Christian as I can be. Okay? I don't want to impose that on a Muslim, someone who's Jewish, someone who has a different philosophy about their spiritual connectivity. I'm not. And I'm really concerned when my government does that. And public schools are a government operation. And to come in and have the government impose this on other people is a little bit, I think, that's not what America's founded on. America's founded at a time when people had experienced significant religious persecution throughout Europe, and you had a multitude of religions in America. Contrary to people's popular belief that there was just this uniform Christian belief. No, it wasn't. If there was, I don't think we'd have been burning witches up in Salem somewhere. There were a lot of things going on in America that were a little suspect. We've grown away from those things, but the reality of it is you had Quakers and Puritans, and I could just go on and on with the various sects of religious people that were in America. And that's why our Constitution, you know, that document that all the Republicans say that they want to live by and follow, the Constitution, It talks about the government will not abridge anyone's right regarding their expression of their religion. The government will not adopt a religion. A government will not promote a religion. Well, if the government, the state of Louisiana, is mandating that the Ten Commandments be placed in every classroom, I think that's what you're doing. And now what you do is you're undermining the legitimacy of the government. And that's one of the problems America's had throughout its existence. It's struggled to live up to the ideals that we say are in our Constitution. It's no different than me last week saying I was going to cut back on carbs, and I didn't make it. In fact, I'm going to have some more carbs today because I'm going to get me a root beer soda. When I get off the air, I'm having a root beer soda, and I'm going to guzzle it down in 3 swigs, and there's nothing anybody can do about it because I'm stressed out today. But listen, everybody, it is important that we really start to frame politically where we're going to be with this election. I think this debate's going to give us a great forum to see these two candidates side by side. I still wonder why Donald Trump is showing up. I think if this favors Joe Biden, all Joe Biden has to look is awake, alive, and that he can hear whatever people are saying to him. If he does, that's all he needs to do, really, because the legislation speaks for itself. He's done great as a president. He has really, really done great. And I know there are people, oh, my God, I can't believe. Go get to the facts. I don't want to hear this. He's a good businessman. I don't want to hear that. So what? Government's not business. Government is government. Business is something wholly different. And we found out under the last election that skill set is not transferable, even if he was a good business person, which he is not. Listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in this morning, getting up. I know it's hot outside, but listen, make the best of it. Get out, do something, and most of all, be aware. Let's finish up this celebration of Juneteenth by getting out doing something that reflects on your culture and that you are proud of your American experience. Hopefully I'll catch you all back here next week. Have a great day.
Junior.